Hi, everybody. This is Corrie Thorne recording the She Is podcast. Still getting used to the new title. It used to be Keeping It Real, More Than Existing. It is still a part of More Than Existing, and it's still part of Keeping It Real. But this is me having to keep it real, having to let all of me show. So I'm in the middle of not defining who I am. I've spent a long time constantly hearing and being told you're someone that's very hard to market. You're unmarketable. You need to find your niche. You need to be this. You need to be that. You need to focus on one thing. Well, that's an impossible task for somebody who is a channel, who's a mystic. Um, I am what they call what I've come to understand in my healing is what they call divinely dignified. I put all of my energy, my love, my faith into the hands of God. Like I've surrendered it all into the hands of God. And that word may trigger you instantly. You may be like, click, I'm out of here. But please, as my book, the new book that I'm hoping to publish soon says, just stay till the end. Because what I mean by God and what you mean by God, what you mean by faith may be totally different. And that's okay. I accept that. I don't have a need to push or an agenda to push anything that I believe up on anyone else. But I am a mystic. I have the ability to see beyond. I see lifetimes. I see energy. I see the life of a person and what is possible. But I've been very much aware that sorry, but we all have this thing called free will. And one of the biggest things in life is that we've had that taken away from us so many times. It's like we have this conditioning. We had a little interruption in there. Um, a little gap between even what I was speaking of. But I was talking about the relationship and about, staying until the end. And in my book, The Way, I talk a lot about I'm so glad I stayed till the end. So glad I stayed till the end. I'm glad I played out this journey. I'm so glad I didn't quit on myself, that I really seriously would became very aware of where I would previously self-sabotage myself, where I would, give over opportunities. And there was so many times along this journey when I had an opportunity to, put my book proposals in with Hay House and after attending these events and I would let it slip by and I would just not do what needed to be done. And eventually you stop doing that. When you start to recognize your relationship with whatever God means to you. In my work, in She is the creation of, well, more than existing, is in is in Corrie School of Magic. It's corriethorn.com. But we also have the Goddess Within, the Soul Revival, and we have the newest, the Diamond Effect. And in the Diamond Effect is about, recognizing the what we call the Christ-like light inside of us all, that we all have this light, and it's our journey to be able to take the human journey. And a part of that is to be able to embody the light the same way that the soul embodies the light from where it is from, like just its natural ability. So that light that's within, we are to embody that from inside out so that we glow, so that we radiate this light of love into the world and out there. And a big part of the journey for me was to no longer hide who I was, that I was a channel, that I do this work, but I'm also a professional life coach, but I'm also very much a business owner. I'm a CEO. I'm someone who has run a business since I was very young. I have a lot of experience. The one thing that I can tell you is that I have succeeded, I have failed, and I have gotten back up. I've done it all. I have been there, and I've ran some successful businesses. But there's a big part of worth that has to go with running a business and being able to lose that fear, the false evidence appearing real, the acronym of fear, and then being able to separate it from the truth of fear of knowing. But also, it's to be able to disassociate from connecting everything to a fear story and being able to say, I am courageous. I have an innate ability to be confident and to have courage, and that it's not all fear, is that I'm afraid to sometimes make the move and to do the changes that need to be made because I know the risk, because I have seen failure. I know the risk. So I now know that I don't have to rush, that I can take my time and that I can think about life a little bit more. And so, in the creation of me, in allowing me to finally be me at this stage of life, is that I'm no longer feel the need to try to become a number one, to make everything, to try to perfect everything, but to just show up and to do the best that I can do. And you're going to hear dogs snoring. That's two little Yorkies. Just in case you're new to my podcast, if you're new to my show, you're going to hear dogs barking. It's a part of my life. And I've spent a lot of time like chasing dreams or following through with advice that I had been given. And back into the whole, in my intro, I talked about not being marketable and having to, define yourself. And I'm like, I've redefined me, and this is as easy as it gets. No title. She is. She is the creation of her heart. She is enough. She is everything she needs to be. She walks the middle road. And not losing my faith is so important to me. Not pretending anymore is huge. The book started because I was just existing. I was just existing. I was barely alive anymore in so many ways. And now I'm making a choice to embody life, to live life, embody this light. And that means that I cannot hide my truth about my relationship with God and what God means to me. Do I know what's over there? I feel like I have seen into the eyes of a God, of God, but that doesn't mean I know God. I know God to my personal relationship. I know Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, to my personal relationship with spirit, with spirit, with energy. I'm not going to argue with anybody about what's on the other side. It's like a surprise package. We don't know. This may be it. I don't know. But I feel as if I've lived in a lot of lives. I feel as if I know a whole lot of wisdom. I have this gift to just know how to do a lot of things. And that has been a blessing my whole life. The moment I go into training, I automatically know how to do things. It just is. But I can't remember nothing. I can't remember human knowledge that well, but I know how to do things. And when I need the knowledge, when I need the wisdom, it comes through. So there is something bigger than us that's out there that assists. And from what I've seen of the faces, the world that's around me, I know it to be true. So today I wanted to start with something, and I'm like, this kind of feels like my soul revival classes, and some of the messages will be the same. The soul revival is soul retrieval work that we're doing, and we're like jump starting our hearts and being excited about life again. And that's what I want she is to be, is that you may even still be, you may be in your grief, you may be in your pain story, but I want you to feel a little bit excited. My hope and desire is that I can give you from my story some inspiration so that you can start inspiring yourself to have the get up to go, to have the desire to want to do more. So there is notes, which I never rarely ever do, because once I start channeling, there's a lot of messages that come out and it's all over the place and it comes together in the end. So if you're here and you have been like really finding yourself being like, I don't know about this, just please stay till the end. That's all I ask of you. Stay till the end. And so let me start with this. This is something that I wrote, and it's in my book, The Way, which will become like a journal. And hoping that, I'm hoping that by this summer, it can be going to publishing. And so the only way that we fully become fully betrayed is by betraying ourselves in so many areas. And that's a statement that I wrote in More Than Existing. When we don't betray ourselves and we stay true to ourselves, there is an opportunity that we may be betrayed. And that's where the afraid comes in, is that I'm not fearful of what could happen because I know how humans are triggered by the unknown and what they don't know and who they don't know. I know how we can mob together and create even more fear. I know the agenda, the manipulation that can happen in a group, in the world. I know that. I've witnessed it. I've been a victim of it. I have experienced it in so many ways, and I have betrayed me. I betrayed myself by choosing to do something that I knew went against my moral sense of self. And so when I look at this deeper, I look at the statement, and so this is the statement that we're working on today. The only way we become betrayed is when we keep betraying betraying ourselves. So this was what I started to write when I wrote that statement, is that no, by standing tall, we can be betrayed outside of ourselves. Like we can be betrayed by somebody who cannot agree, but we are not betraying ourselves. We're staying true to ourselves. So this is how I changed the statement. The only way we become betrayed is in allowing ourselves to be distracted from the relationship with who we truly are. The relationship with the God within, the God out there, whatever you want, the moon, the rocks, the stars, the creator, the source, name it, whatever you want. When we start to become distracted from there, we pick up this thing called fear. And when we become fearful, we are more willing to bend at the knee, to bend over, to sacrifice ourselves out of a thought that something could go wrong because get we get blindsided by the fear and that we're not looking ahead, that we start to get fearful of the what could happen, what is possible, what has happened in the past. You will remember something that has previously happened, and so then we lose that. And so faith, and I found myself yesterday as I'm going through these notes and thinking this was one of my favorite classes. And I can't put it all in one podcast. It's a big class, it's a 90-minute class. So I'm going to break some of this down a little bit. And of course, I never teach the same way. I teach everything channeled, live, interactive, other than, for the first time when it goes out. And then sometimes it's recorded. But every time I reteach a class, it'll never be the same twice. I can't do that. I'm not a carbon copy type of person. I have to follow my heart, and my mouth just opens and the channel speaks. I feel the energy of what is needed. And so as I'm feeling the energy of what is needed today, what comes up for me and where this came from was yesterday. Um, yesterday I was really truly contemplating the past few weeks of my life, and an attack that was up on me about who are you to channel this energy, and oh yeah, you think you can talk to God. I'm like, well, why not me? And that's been my whole life. Why not me? I hid from this for so long. Everybody can talk to God. Everybody can talk to yourself. Everybody can talk to the light. Everybody can talk to the trees. Everybody can talk to wherever brings you peace, contentment, and gives you the pause and enough time to contemplate and think about the effect of your decisions and your choices. And there is, the after effects of the where we lay our attention, of where we put our focus, of where we throw our energy has a big effect on us. And so when I started to, think of that attack and how this person who came after me with scriptures, and you can know your word, but are you living and embodying the light and love? Because there's a difference. And I appreciate the fact that we have such people that are so committed. And I have a lot of friends who are very much committed to the church and don't agree with what I do. And that's fine. But we respect each other. We have dignity for each other as humanity. How that person landed on my page that day, it's beyond me. But what I do know is that that person became a messenger to me that day. And it became a test. Will you lose your faith? Will you fall? Will you betray you and fall victim and feel like you have to give up everything that you do because this is what people think of you. And I would let that fear get in. That's how I end up, leaving my hairdressing career with such hate for what I had done, like anger, hate. Like I'm like, how can people treat each other this way? How can people, after I've been so good to them for so many years, now think this because of one person's words? Like, how can people that I've given my love, my dedication, that I've been loyal to, that I would stay till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, I would do anything to be able to help them, their families. How can this be happening to me? And what I had to come to look was the only way that was betrayal, that I was being betrayed there, was I was looking at it as if this was happening to me. The same when this guy, I could have said, why is this happening to me? And instead, I started to go to, what is happening within me when I am reacting and responding to this? So I defended myself, which you have a right to do. But I didn't defend myself with an anger. I didn't defend myself with exposing that person, which is what people wanted me to do. They wanted me to call him out so that they could ruin his business. I said, my thing was that this person runs a real estate company in the same province I'm in. I'm in Canada. And I'm like, he could have, his words could have, a big effect on my business, or it could help my business. Who knows? But I could have taken that as an opportunity to attack him, to go after his business. Because how many he called, he's like, great, all we need is more witches. And now, how many women has he not knowing of what they do or what their belief is? Has he taken their money, taken the commission, built his life from? And is living from, off of these beautiful people who are, you know, who are just like him and I, until he finds out something that makes him hate them. Until then, he likes them. Until then, they're good enough. Until then, until you have an opportunity to cause hate. So this is how we get so caught up. We spread that. We get caught in that energy of, they're a good person until I have a reason to hate them for no reason. Right? Until I can create a story, a narrative. Well, they got to be this. It's like, that's how we end up being burnt. That's how we end up burning people on the stake. And so I'd rather be the one burning on the stake than be the one standing around. And if that's the kind of people that are, if that's the kind of society, if that's what humanity is to be based on, is the ones that are standing around burning people at the stake, destroying people's lives because you believe that you know best, or you believe that your belief system your is much more better than that other person, or that that person should be destroyed because it's standing in the way. Nothing really is standing in the way but you. And the person that you actually hate upon most is you yourself. Those people were doing nothing to you. What is inside of us? What is inside of us that takes us to get that story into our head and allow it to become such a manipulation that it is a corruption, and it destroys the goods of us so that we don't see our light, and that we can do that and walk away believing that we did the right thing. So he left that day believing he did the right thing. I left believing that I had an opportunity where I could have done back to him what he tried to do to me. But I made a choice to choose to do the right thing because I had this done to me. Because I've just finished healing through what has happened to somebody trying to destroy me, my integrity, and my business. And I know what it feels like. And I don't wish that even upon someone who thinks they're my enemy, because all I did was wish them love. Even though I defended myself, I spoke about my truth. I wouldn't call him out. I deleted it, I banned him, but I wouldn't call that person out. I don't have that right. I don't have that right to judge that person wherever they are in their thought and their mind. That's his story. And in the end, he'll have to live with that. In the end, that's his. But yesterday I witnessed the same thing again, but it wasn't at me personally. It popped up on my YouTube, and it was somebody who used to be in this industry, who used to, sparkle and shine with such love and such conviction, and received these messages, heard this message, and wrote books and told the stories. And then I'm watching, and and I honor this person. I still have a lot of dignity um and and love for the person because I trained a lot through them. So I really truly honor that. But something that really hurt my heart was the fact of betraying the people who took you to where you were, and um, betraying so many parts. And I get that you changed your mind. You have that right. We have that. Something happened that gets you to change your mind. And I just can't buy into God says for you to push such judgment upon people that you need to try to destroy an industry or people based on what you feel like you are being told, because the word once said this. But what did the meaning of those words mean and who wrote them? Is it the same people? Is it the same energy? Is it the same thought process that even put Jesus on the cross? Is it the same one that was burning witches on the cross? So I really I question some of this. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying I have the opportunity because I'm not going to betray me and betray my truth. I'm not going to turn around to the voices that are trying to drag me back to fear. And that's the truth. So when I seen this and I just seen I'm not even looking at the same person. They're not meant to be. So are they here to, are they here to be that voice in the way, or were they, or is there something that is, of a fear story that's involved? I don't know. It's not mine to decide. It's not, I'm not the person who gets to judge. But the saddest part of all is that if we are truly being a follower to God in any way, whatever you believe God in, is that we have dignity for our fellow humans, and that humanity really should matter, and that we don't lose faith in ourselves to know that belittling somebody else is not going to make us look bigger. By judging somebody else, by criticizing somebody else, by trying to instill that fear, fear will never lead us to true faith, ever. Fear will never lead us to true faith. Faith is when you truly believe and you can know that, we can have the truth of what can happen, what can go wrong. But why? Why do we need to try to force by that? So in this lesson, and what was coming up for me was, when you truly become busy. So this is the lessons of the Marys, and this is the lesson of Marys. And I'm going to start with this Mary, and I'm like, if you can be anyone today, be a Mary. Don't, and I hate using the name, but the term they use, be a Karen. I don't like that. I hate it actually, because I'm like, why would we single out a name that way and make that into a, so then every person that got the name, and I have a lot of friends with that name who are beautiful people. So I'm like, I really, and I know it comes from the one story, the one meme, but we're seeing a lot of that roll out. And so um, this morning I was watching on TV about a woman getting attacked for not having her mask on. And people viciously started to beat on her and attack her. And I'm like, is this what we've become in humanity? Is this who we are? What have we become? And it's something deeper to look. And so this is the lessons of the Mary. So this will be a few part, probably a 3, 4 part series of coming through here. And so in my oracle cards, I actually have a card called the Everyday Miracle. And the card is called She Is. And it's mine and the artist, Amelia Richard. It is the representation of all that embodies of a divine feminine. And so being that whole sense of understanding my divinely dignified world that I'm living within, which I still kind of blush because I'm like, this feels very weird to me to even say the term, but it's something that keeps coming up for me. Is that number one, when you are busy making the foundation strong, you have no time for self-absorption. You have no time for the fears of others, following the crowd, and no time to be needed, to be liked, or to be loved. Most of all, to be admired. You stay prepared and preparing for what is to come. You cannot you cannot prevent or change what is meant to unfold. And you cannot change the world, until you truly repair the foundation of you. Because the foundation of us is the basis on which we create our core values, our belief, and to truly come to understand our ego and who we really are. And so and understanding that you can only be prepared to a certain degree because the storms will come. We will have to experience the faded. There is no doubt. And we sometimes are in relationships with people, including ourselves, that may have to pay some of the ultimate prices. And where do we stand in that? And do we turn that pain story into such a shadowed self that we start to live in misery? Or do we become a living legend for those who did not get the opportunity to finish out the journey, to be able to be a light in the lives of so many other people? And so your foundation, your essence, it cannot be, you cannot cheapen it. You cannot rush, you can't rush it. You need to take the time. You need to research you. You need to learn about you. You need to understand that. So when I was walking this journey and on this journey, I went through my Phoenix moments, several of them, but the biggest Phoenix moment really truly came in watching an experience of me being asked to be of service to a dear friend who was in need, and she didn't have the best results in some testing. And what she was told, she could have went home and gave up, just like I could have went home and gave up. And so she messaged. And when she did, I was in a very low moment, but I was self-absorbed in my pain, in what was happening in my body and what was happening in my world. But she was somebody who walked in and it took all focus off of me. But when I was preparing the healing circle, I heard, don't forget about you. Put yourself in there. You go in first. And then just leave the rest to us. The ultimate surrendering puts you in too. You're asking healing for everybody else. You're asking for this for everyone else, but you do never ask for you. You have to be included. Because you, if you're going to walk in grace, you have to remember who you are. And that's such a truth. If you're going to walk in grace, you first have to remember who you are. And that's the only way that you can walk in grace. It's the only way that we can return to grace. And I did, and I went to bed and I and I just fell asleep. Thought I was asleep, sleep awake, I like to call it. And all of a sudden there was hands holding my hand. And I realized it was the Marys. And they told me Mary, it was Mary's. And there was three of them. And there was Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and Mary of Bethany. And I just walked. And I'll tell you later on more experience of how Marys are in my life. And as I'm walking, they said, and I could smell something burning. I could smell this like, and I just kept hearing, Corrie, get up, your house is burning. Corrie, get up, your house is burning. And anyone who's been around me a long time knows this story. It is in the first book. It is in the More Than Existing book. And all I kept saying was, and they just kept saying, don't look, don't look, don't get up, trust us, have faith. And that was a pivotal changing moment. I kept walking. And before I knew it, I was looking into this bright light. And I just knew, I just heard, it is Lord Jesus Christ. I'm here. I am here. And so I say I have a relationship with with Jesus, the Spirit Jesus, the man who was prior to the cross. And then I have the light of the embodied light, when he fully embodied the light, when he had to make that sacrifice, when he could have not gone, when he could have not gone and been put into that situation. He could have hid. He knew it was coming, but he kept going. And and he knew that journey. And I'm not I'm not a religious person that way, but that's my relationship with Jesus. That's how he talks to me. And so that being put there in front of me said, keep walking towards me. Just keep walking towards me. Whatever it is, don't be fooled by the imposter light. Don't be caught anywhere else. Don't let anyone else, even if they try to tell you, even if they try to tell you, that what you're doing is wrong, don't lose you. Just keep walking. And that's I woke up the next morning and I could still smell the smoke. I came out and my desk was burnt. The candles had one of the candles had exploded. The holy water was clear. It was this murky color because it was blue algae in the water at the time out at Lac Santa Anne. And I went in a big storm right after the pilgrimage was over the next morning, and it was raining sideways and it was horrible. And I couldn't get down to the water. And he said, that's not where it is. Go to the creek. I didn't know where the creek was. I found it. I got the water. Long story short, I've been using that water, that holy water from the lake in my healing prayers. And the desk was burnt. The plastic canvasy cheap tablecloth that I had bought that was like, this pretty design was plasticky. It had burnt, but somehow, right by where this little Mary statue and right by where the holy water was, everything went out. Candle was burnt. There was a hole burnt down through the desk, but the house didn't burn. And that's the truth. And so, and it's a total symbolic. All else may crumble. Things may burn, but your foundation. So have faith. Build the foundation strong enough to hold the empire of you. This is home, and this is the way home to you. When you hear yourself keep saying, I need to move, I need a change, I'm not happy, that means you are living way out here in the material world and you're not trusting you. Today and every day, wake up and look into the mirror and tell yourself, she is there and I'm going to find her. She is there. I can see her. She is. And start coming home. And when you start to come home to you, everything starts to change. This is the journey of She Is. And I am so thankful to finally be here. And I'm so thankful that I have found my way. I am Corrie Thorne. I am the owner, creator of More Than Existing, the author, and the CEO of CorrieThorne.com, and also a woman who is redefining the need to be a niche or to be defined and saying, you can do it all. With much love. I will see you all, and we will continue this series of the Marys. Much love.